I tell you, if there's one group of people at this moment in time in the world that I feel sorry for, it is the people that made World War Two Sledgehammer Games. I genuinely do feel sorry for them because they've made a game that got so hyped, like beyond well, not so hyped, but it got a lot of hype simply because this was the return to its roots for the Call of Duty games. And it just hasn't worked. It just hasn't worked very well for them, has it? Really, in the end, you've got, many factors beyond that. But that's kind of the point of this video. I don't know what it's going to be titled yet, but it's around this idea of, is World War Two, in quote, I will put quotation marks, dead, or is it a failure? Is it kind of failed? The reason I say quotation marks dead is because certainly in video games recently, the term dead has been used a lot and overused quite a bit. Because let's be honest, technically it's not dead. It's still got a player base. No matter how small you consider that player base to be, there's still people on it. I went on it to get this gameplay for the first time in about a week. There's still plenty of people on it and enjoying it. The term "is it dead?" to be honest, I think that's just became more common because of bloody Fortnite. Oh, Fortnite's killing everything. PUBG's dead. H1Z1's dead. Technically it's not dead, but the reason I'm saying that is kind of, is it unpopular, basically, I suppose. Because let's go through events. Obviously, Call of Duty World War Two comes out. Like I say, it was meant to be this whole return to glory, essentially, for Call of Duty. After years of free games, 3 years of jetpacks and the bullshit that the future setting brought along, we finally go back to not only boots on the ground gameplay, but we also go back to World War Two, where Call of Duty became where it started and part of the reason it became big. See, it's not COD 4, but World War Two in that setting and that era are very important to the history of the Call of Duty franchise. So on paper, really, they had it all. They had it all there. But for some reason, we are now into March. The game has been out for 4 months now? 4 months? Just over 4 months. And we're already at a point where the game just feels, well, I've used the word a lot, but it does feel a bit dead. It feels a little bit lackluster. And I feel sorry for them because partially it's their game. They make certain decisions, but there are also things that have gone against them. I kind of want to just talk about some of the reasons why it's Danny, mate. Can you stop meowing while I'm doing this? That was my cat. I don't know if you heard it that clearly or not. I want to just discuss points about why World War Two has got at this point already. Starting with the first one, the game itself, obviously, is down to them a little bit. It just feels a bit like there's not much to it. There really isn't much to it, and to me, it's sort of similar to Battlefront, the original one. Because I actually relatively enjoyed the first Battlefront. It was fun. It was just a bit lacking. It didn't have much to it. It didn't give me much reason to replay it, and World War Two kind of falls into that. For one thing, you've got nine base multiplayer maps. You've got obviously the 3 war ones if you want to count them. But other than that, that's one area where it's just not enough. The gameplay hasn't really. It stayed very, very much the same. I mean, yes, they've added guns. They haven't added any guns that are particularly OP or anything, which is good. But it just feels like they haven't really done much. Black Ops 3 got constant updates. Modern Warfare Remastered got quite a few updates. The major reason for Fortnite being so liked is because it's updated literally every week. And I'm not asking them to do that because obviously Call of Duty franchise, they've got a lot to focus on. They've got a lot, on their plate really. While Fortnite can just constantly update this one game to suit, just their one, it's just multiplayer. But it just doesn't feel that good. I mean, the event they had for the first DLC it was literally, at the end of the day, it was a couple of weeks of prop hunt, a couple of weeks of gun game. Yep, you got a few more. You got a few new challenges, which would earn you some supply drops, which we all know aren't that great anyway. And it felt incredibly lackluster. And events came around with Black Ops 3 and with games like Modern Warfare Remastered. I'm pretty sure Infinite Warfare as well. And with Modern Warfare Remastered, the events were genuinely fun. They added some genuinely good things to the game. They added a fair few guns, and at that point, I mean, the one event I'm really focusing on here is the summer one, where we got beach prop hunt and things like that. They added quite a few guns. At that point, people largely accepted the fact they were adding guns into the game, and none of them really ruined the game. One of them was the intervention. I loved the fact they had the intervention there. Obviously renamed, but they had the intervention there, and I loved the fact that they did that. And they had, like, every week they seem to be adding things during that event. Well, World War 2 is kind of the same thing, but it just feels lackluster. And when you've already got a game that's kind of on its knees already in terms of replayability, the events are incredibly important. And it just didn't feel like they were treating it in an incredibly important way. Obviously, I've already referenced it a little bit. Another key reason for World War 2 not being that great is Fortnite. You can't really get away from it. It's incredibly popular, and it came out of it at the time of World War 2 coming out. It was still incredibly popular, but if anything, since World War 2 came out, it's got even more popular. And it's not only World War 2 that's feeling the effect of that. So there's nothing really to be. You can't really be ashamed of that, can you? Fortnite being so loved at the moment isn't really something you can, like I say, you can't really blame them. I suppose if you think about Activision, it might be embarrassing that at this sort of small free-ish game, I know that you pay for the site survival bit, but the Battle Royale's free. This free game just came along and embarrassed everyone, essentially. Maybe from that point of view it's an issue, but generally they can't really do much about that. All they can do is supply the people they have. Other than that as well, they haven't been helped this week, obviously, by Black Ops 4 being announced and leaked already, and that doesn't help. For me, I'm thinking, like, in terms of Sledgehammer at the moment, they're seeing Activision already kind of pushing Black Ops 4. It's got a month. It's coming out a month earlier, so less time for World War 2 to be the main Call of Duty. It's only March, and they're already pushing the fact they've got Black Ops 4. All the marketing across the social media accounts and all that is Black Ops 4. That must be a bit of a kick in the balls, that, for people working there, because like I said, you've worked so hard on this game, and it's already being pushed aside for the next one, essentially, very early, because we never normally get much about the next Call of Duty until late April, till May. So they haven't really been helped by that. And I suppose, in terms of the reason I say is it a failure? Can it be classed as a failure? Is because, in terms of longevity, this Call of Duty has done awfully. I think there's no real way of getting around that fact. It has done awfully in terms of longevity, and even games like some of the most disliked games in terms of Call of Duty Ghosts, Advanced Warfare, they did last. They lasted they lasted near enough the year for most people that were playing them. You could say less competition. I can't remember what came out with Advanced Warfare in terms of like a Battlefield game or whatever. But don't. I don't. Again, that was my cat. Honestly, I will. I swear. Behave. Anyway, I think. Yeah, he's settling now. It's good. What was I on about? Right. Advanced Warfare and Ghosts felt like they had more longevity to them. They felt like they had the ability to keep their players, albeit it might be a smaller percentage of people, for a longer amount of time. And World War 2 generally felt like it has actually burnt out before even DLC 2. This didn't happen with Black Ops 3. This didn't happen with Infinite Warfare. Obviously it kind of did, because Infinite Warfare never really had the massive people on board with it. anyway. But Modern Warfare Remastered did, and Modern Warfare Remastered kept going all right, and that only had literally one DLC in the whole year, and like I say, it had those events. But other than that, it was all right. But generally, it's really interesting that it has sort of dive bombed as much as it has. And like I said, I can't really put a finger on what it's not a bad game. It's not a bad. That has to be said. It isn't a bad game. People have gave it a bit of a knocking, and it has become a little bit of a meme in terms of, you know, well, it's the fact it isn't particularly, it doesn't seem that popular anyway. It's an alright game. It's not that bad. I mean, it's not up there. It's not up there with World War Two. Not World War Two. World at War. It's not up there with any of the Modern Warfare series. It's not up there with the Black Ops series. But it's a good attempt at making a good World War Two game. And the campaign was alright. The zombies is okay. It's not Treyarch zombies, but it was alright. The multiplayer is alright. It is literally. It just feels like everything's done after a couple of months. I mean, I don't have a massive desire to go on the game anymore, and that's quite sad, really, I suppose, for a Call of Duty game. At this moment in time, I'm rather playing Black Ops 3, which for someone like myself who absolutely despises that sort of movement, I even going back on Black Ops 3 now, genuinely I've had fun playing Black Ops 3, but the bloody pricks that just jump all over the place really still do get to me. It does annoy me. I've also been playing Modern Warfare Remastered more than World War 2 recently, and it just, I don't know if it's a Sledgehammer thing. People don't look forward to Sledgehammer games, CODs, do they really? They've only had 2, to be fair. But generally people don't when it's Sledgehammer's turn, people aren't like, oh my god, yes, it's Sledgehammer. And even Infinity Ward had that at one point. They had that sort of status. Treyarch certainly do now. But yeah, generally World War 2 hasn't been helped by itself, hasn't been helped by Activision, in fact, like I say, with this all Black Ops 4 stuff. It hasn't been helped by other games, but like I say, it's still an alright game. Technically, it's not dead. It's not a dead game, per se, in that respect. It's not anyway. It is still got a purpose to it. And it's still got people playing it, but it does feel like it's failed in what it was meant to do for the whole year. I mean, in terms of bringing people back, getting interest back, it worked in that sense initially for like before its release, but in terms of, you know, keeping people on Call of Duty like they used to be. I mean, back in the Modern Warfare 2 days, generally you wouldn't really want to go on any other game. Modern Warfare 2 bossed it, or at least I didn't. I can't really speak for everyone, but I am pretty sure a lot of people enjoyed Modern Warfare 2 a lot. And it didn't in terms of capturing people for a long spell of time, it really hasn't managed it. And like I said, is it a failure? Possibly, in that respect. As a game, is it a failure? Not really. It sold brilliantly, as you expect from Call of Duty games. It sold very well. Again, I think personally it's not a bad game. It's a good game. It's not got enough in it to keep me interested. And in that respect, I didn't get DLC or anything. Normally, when there's a zombies involved, what Infinite Warfare aside, I do end up getting the DLC. I even got that DLC that was on Modern Warfare Remastered, even though it was a bit of a con. I still got it in the end because I'm a bit of I suppose you could say fanboy in that respect. But I have no real desire to get the DLC on this game. I don't really have a desire to play it. I was even thinking, if I need to delete anything, it would probably be World War 2 at the moment off my PlayStation. If anything had to go for something else, it will probably be World War 2 at this point. But yeah, it's a shame really that they couldn't keep it going for them, I suppose. Well, anyway, that wraps up the points I wanted to make. I'm interested to see what other people think. Are you still playing the game? Do you think this, does it bother you there's not as many people in it, or are you fine with it? Do you not care? As long as you're happy, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. Have you ditched it early? Did you not even buy it? How early did you ditch it, if you did? And what are you playing? That's always an interesting, because there's quite a few games at the moment other people are playing. So yeah, leave your thoughts down below. And if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, share. That would be great. Without any further ado, thanks for watching, and goodbye.